Hi, welcome to another episode of Small Doses with Larcel. Today I'm going to talk about the rush to return our children to public schools. It is July 2020 and we are still in the throes of this COVID-19 pandemic. It has been taxing for so many of us. There's a rush to get our children back to school. Many businesses have opened. People are going to restaurants and gyms, and people have returned to the beach. People are going to salons and barbershops. And many people are wearing their mask and social distancing themselves as best as they can. And there's a whole community of people who refuse to wear masks and are choosing to not socially distance themselves. They're saying it is, infringing upon their rights to ask them to wear a mask or to stand 6 feet away from someone. And it very well may be their right to not wear masks or to be closely huddled together, but it's a selfish right because the science has told us from the beginning that the wearing of masks is not to protect the wearer from getting the COVID-19 virus. The mask is to prevent the potential spread or to reduce the chances of spreading the virus in case you yourself are a carrier. The state of North Carolina has pretty much asked people to wear masks now, and I was out and about yesterday and I saw so many people wearing masks and going about their business, and I saw quite a few people not wearing masks, not socially distanced, and going about their business. What do you say? What do you do? I know that there won't really be a way to enforce making people wear masks. What are you going to do? You're going to put them in jail with other people where they can't socially distance. And it is sad that people choose not to wear them. But like I said, I wanted to talk a little bit about returning to school. I noticed that many of our government buildings, like the state houses where the governors live, the White House where the president lives, those buildings aren't open for tourism. Many of our national parks and museums aren't open for tourism. But the government wants to open our schools where some of our most precious resources are our children. The children are the future. That's a given. So you want to put these children at risk by putting them in classrooms. And even if you socially distance these children in the classroom, what is it really going to look like, especially dealing with our kindergartners through middle school? If you have been a child, have a child, or are an educator, you know good and well it is going to be nearly impossible for those young people to not touch each other, touch their faces. The smaller ones are going to be wanting to experiment wearing someone else's mask. Is the teacher responsible to know if two kids have changed masks? We're going to ask them to have that responsibility too. They already do so much. Freedom's trying to get in on the action. Say hi, Freedom. Okay, it's my sister. So, what is this going to look like when we send these children and teachers back into the classroom? I have heard from educators describing what their particular school district may be asking them to do. One suggestion is that your classroom is reduced by half, and you will still be responsible for teaching your both parts of your class. You just have half in one room and half in another room, So you'll teach math over here, and then you'll run across the hall and teach math over there. Well, if you do that, who's sitting with the children that you're not with? Okay, watching them. And you're going to overwork the teachers because you just got to get school back open. So before we go any further about that part, let's look at what our teachers already do. We have tasked our teachers to educate our children, which that's what they signed up to do. And the majority of the teachers that I know love what they do. I'm the daughter of 2 teachers, the mother of 2 teachers, the sister-in-law, niece. I mean, everybody in my family pretty much went into education. I even later returned and got my master's in education. So education is something that we do. So they teach. Then you turn around and ask them, oh, well, little Johnny has to take some medicine. So now our teachers are responsible for taking a class and being trained on administering medication to children who have to take prescription medication. Then they're the referees. Of course, teachers have always been referees when there's scuffles in school. I mean, even when I was a child, the teacher had to be the referee, the go-between. They're the counselors. They wipe the tears when the children are crying. Then they have to participate in individualized education plans when children may have a particular need that's, not a mainstream need. We task our teachers to do a lot. And what a lot of people don't realize is the amount of work they take home. They grade papers at home. They're reading the projects and papers that your children have written, and they're doing it on their own time. So some of you say, well, they should just do it while they're at work. Okay, well, while they're at work with your children, which they even have to eat their lunch with your children, they don't get a break. Guess what happens after school? Parents show up because they need to talk about their children with the teachers. So a lot of teachers won't complain publicly because they need their jobs. So I'm here for you, teachers. I'll complain for you. They need their jobs. They don't get paid the best. And then we tax them with so many things that very many of them enjoy doing. Do not get me wrong. Some of the extra stuff they could probably live without. So maybe we need to help them figure out how to get this done. But we show our teachers day after day, week after week, year after year, how much we really don't value them. They're not paid what they're worth. Okay? And now we're asking them to risk their health and their lives by going back into the classroom during this COVID-19 experience. That's what we're asking them to do. Is that really fair? And the main reason, let's be honest, that we want schools open is so that everybody else can return to their jobs. Because what? Teachers are also the best babysitters because you don't have to pay them. Just tell the truth. Everybody at the beginning of this pandemic, when the parents had to homeschool their kids, there were videos and posts with parents bowing down. Oh, God bless the teachers. We didn't know this is what they were going through. Give them a raise, pat them on the back, give them a trophy. We love our teachers. We miss our teachers. That was March. Here we are, April, May, June, July, 4 months later. Oh, yeah, by the way, teacher, we love you and we know you do a lot, but we're going to need you to go back in that classroom with 20 plus kids, and we hope you don't get COVID. Now, if the teachers get COVID, if they're exposed, what do they do? Because people who are exposed are being asked to quarantine for 14 days. Are they going to have to use their sick leave? Who pays for the sub? Did you know in many states, teachers have to actually be docked their pay to pay the sub that sits in for them? So a teacher goes to work, is exposed to COVID, has to quarantine themselves for 14 days, which means there needs to be a sub, and good luck with that. Because who in their right mind wants to sub in the midst of a pandemic, knowing that someone has been exposed to COVID and that's why they're being called in? Really? Have you guys thought this all the way through? I don't think so. So how are the teachers going to be compensated for the 14 days that they have to quarantine themselves? And how is the sub going to be compensated the 14 days that they're there? Also, all of the children in that classroom are going to have to be quarantined. And everybody they rode on the bus with is going to have to be quarantined, which means the bus driver is going to have to be quarantined. Wow. So we just wiped out a hallway right here. Does this make sense to rush back? And for what? These kids are in early ed. They're in elementary. They may even be some of them in secondary. What is the rush? Nobody's about to come out as a brain surgeon in the next 12 months. What's the rush? So they will be behind. Okay, it won't kill them. We won't suffer. We've got to slow down and figure this out. Sadly, the people at the top of our government chain have really blown it. They have done a piss poor job in looking out for our educators and looking out for our children. They have. Let's just be honest. 1 second. Freedom had a lot to share. So I'm back. So we really need to slow this train down. Let's get out the chalkboard, the paper, whatever, and let's do some serious thinking this through. You see, because the parents whose children will be going to school, some of them have jobs where they will be working from home. They won't be going to be with other people who may make them sick. A lot of people are working from home. So why would we, because everybody else wants to move forward with their lives, jeopardize some of our greatest resources? Our teachers, our school counselors, the people who work in the cafeteria, the people who drive the buses. We want to put their lives in danger because we want to move on with our lives. Stop pretending that you're doing this because the children need to learn. Stop pretending that. They do need to learn. Stop pretending that this is what this is all about. This is all about the money. Chase the money. Follow the money. And sadly, because children don't pay taxes and children don't vote, people don't really care about what the children want or need. Teachers don't make a lot of money and they need their jobs. So people aren't caring about what they need. Let's stop being at our base level selfish Americans. Let's stop doing that. We have been showing that for the last 3 years. We as a culture, as a country, have been functioning at our base level of just being unkind, unthoughtful, uncaring people, all about me, me, me. And as the old folks used to say, the fish stinks from the head to the tail. And we know the head stinks. Let's rethink this thing about going back to school so soon. You know, they're showing more and more young people are getting ill. It's not just, as they said at the beginning, the older people, the people with pre-existing conditions. They are showing that people from all ages, from the bottom to the top, are getting this disease. And think about it. This is a virus. If you've ever had a virus before, your doctor has probably told you that virus will remain in your body. It may become dormant, but it's always there. Think about it. Children who got chicken pox when they were young, when they reach their mid-50s and 60s, they start showing, some of them start showing signs of what's called shingles. Shingles is the same virus that was the chicken pox they had in 1st and 2nd grade. So the virus stays in your body. You can research other viruses. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be one, but I do read. I'm a human and I've been ill before. I've had some viruses and I'm sure they may still be in my body. And who knows? The COVID that you pick up may connect with some of these other viruses that you've already been exposed to. And maybe why you have so many of these other symptoms. Well, since freedom wants to bark at the squirrel, I'm going to end right here. But just think about it. Let's go back to the drawing board and think about, are we really ready for our children, our most precious resources for the future, to go back into a classroom, which is going to become a virtual petri dish? Think about it. It's been another small dose with Laura Sell. Please look for my podcast, and you can find me on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Have a great day.